12:05 in the afternoon. Always love when we hear that music because that means it's time to get Helping Seniors of Brevard underway for this afternoon. And now let me introduce the host of the show and the Executive Director of Helping Seniors of Brevard. Here's Kerry Fink. Hi, Kerry.
Hey, John Harper. Always a pleasure to gather on the radio lunchtime Wednesdays right here on 90.3 FM WEJF. And welcome to those who are listening online, WEJF.net. And those who will pick this up as a podcast later, because we're out there every place you find good podcasts, from Spotify to iHeartRadio, Apple iTunes, and even, hey, Alexa, play Helping Seniors Radio. And it's a good way to get information out. When Joe Steckler, our president and founder, began the work of Helping Seniors back in 2011, so we've been now serving into our 13th year of serving the community with our Senior Information Helpline, Joe... we had this conversation right as he was getting this started. He goes, Kerry, I built Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation. I got the Joe's Clubs going. And he said one of the most important things we did was educate or try to educate families and the seniors that they love and care for about things that they might encounter on the way. And so that same philosophy has carried through into everything we do with the Helping Seniors nonprofit. We operate the County Senior Information Helpline, but we're always about doing what Joe calls making an aging plan. And for those of us that live in Florida, we understand what an aging plan is if we think about it in terms of a hurricane plan, because if you have a hurricane plan, it certainly means you don't want the hurricane. It just means you want to be prepared in all eventuality. And that's kind of the idea of an aging plan. And so to make it a little maybe less intimidating, we jokingly often or smilingly often call it getting your ducks in a row. And I think that's why you're going to get so much out of today's radio show, because we're going to dive into a discussion about things that I think people often just refer to as, quote, old folks' homes. I was talking with our guest. Let me go ahead and introduce him. We're so glad he's in the studio with us. His name is Joseph Wise. He is executive director and runs everything at one of the finest assisted living facilities here in town. Has been serving for, I think Hibiscus has been around. I'm talking about Hibiscus Court Assisted Living and Memory Care has been here, a fixture for like 20, 25 years now. You guys celebrated your 25th anniversary. Welcome.
Thank you, Gary. And it's so pleased to be here. It's always a pleasure, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, and we were talking before the show. I said, most of us, as we were kids growing up, our exposure to going to the, quote, old folks' home was really kind of dark and scary, because we'd have to go see like great grandma or something. And you would go to this place, and it was really very kind of like frightening as a small child. And yet it's not even remotely like that. But most of us don't know that.
Well, it's amazing. We mentioned earlier, it's going into a community. It's not even a facility. It's a community.
Right.
Going into a community now is almost like hitting the lottery, because you have your chauffeur, you have your chef, and you have your activities. All for economical price. We don't even put a price on our tag on it, because we're there for the residents and the family members to care for and to love on, and just to provide them with the care that we are called to do. And we are a special breed to be an assisted living professional at this time.
As you were saying that, we were talking before the show, and I was asking you, and you've been doing this for, I think you told me like 18 years, but your background was hospitality. And see, I think that's a dynamic shift that most of us aren't aware of. We carry these memories from maybe when we visited great grandma at quote, the home. And today the industry is so different. When you talk about the term hospitality, I've always thought of Hibiscus Court. Whenever I see things on the Facebook page, it always looks like you guys are having so much fun. It's like, it's not what you would think of as, any kind of stodgy, scary. It's like a fun place.
And it is. And we practice and perform this on a daily basis. It's instilling on us as far as this is more hospitality and caregiver than anything. When loved ones or family members comes into the community, they can feel the spirit, they can feel the hospitality that each and every staff member holds in their heart. So I always say we deliver care from the heart, not delivering care because we have to. It's because we it's instilled in us, and we are here to disperse it as we interact with each and every one of our residents.
Yeah, so here's a thing I want to ask you about, because again, most of us, I think if we just got a clipboard and we started roaming the streets of downtown and started asking people and said, are you familiar with some senior living options in this area? Most people would kind of stop and say they might be familiar. They might be familiar with a place that mom or uncle or aunt had to go to following a hospital stay, which is totally different. They might draw on maybe not such a pleasant memory they had as a child, and that would be their familiarity. But the whole industry has evolved, and the way that you guys look after seniors. I love to tell stories because I've seen it where a person will be sitting at home watching TV all day. They if you met them, there's no spark of life in them or anything that seems to be going on. And yet when you talk to the kids, no, mom's happiest at home. She does, this is where she's happy. She's lived here all these years. And then something happens where she does take a step and moves into an assisted living, and it's like 10 years fall off, and she's in a social environment. She's like, it's like a whole different world.
It's amazing because I see it happen constantly, almost on a daily basis. A different environment, pretty much. They comes into a community that really take the helms and love on them and show them their different, as far as activities, different amenities, and things that they didn't think that would actually be happening in a assisted living facility. I'm sorry, I said facility. It's no such thing as facility. It's the community. So we enhance the love and the care for each and every residence that walk through that door, and love on the family member as well, because we have to have everyone engaged. And so once we get every individual engaged, we can actually nurture. And I call it almost like the service station when the gas is being lowered in the car, you have to refuel. When they walk through that community, they got to get full.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a while before they need to be refueled again, because we're going to keep that tank going. So, we practice that. Like I said, not practice, but we demonstrate that on a daily basis to deliver the care with hospitality, and just maintain the respect. And we start from the line staff, because if the line staff is happy, and you can tell when you're going to a community. Sure. Most community, we're not about the brick and mortar. So we about the care. We have longevity caregivers that's been here for 10 plus years. And that's when you really know that you found the right community, when you have that commitment from the staff and above.
I was thinking about, as you were saying that too, because I've heard people who help guide families towards senior residences. They help them navigate and say, well, this, based on these interests, because the kids will have a certain idea, like, oh, where's your swimming pool? Where's your weight room and things like this? And they're thinking about it from their perspective and not necessarily taking into account what mom or dad, how they would view it. And so what I think is so important as a distinction is that you have an opportunity to explain to families, like, this is why this is a fit. Don't get maybe like too focused on the glitz or the hardware, but look at what the heart of the whole thing really is.
That's so true. That's so true, Gary. Again, we actually just yesterday had a daughter and son-in-law came in, and they're looking for a mom. Mom is in the rehab right now. Uh-huh. And, they had a perspective of what they were looking for. I met with Mom, and after they came, and pretty much Mom told me a totally different story.
Right.
And when once I had the conversation with Mom, and then we sat collaboratively, and Mom has chosen us. So it's only because she understood the view. She wanted the view. She wasn't about the bricks and mortar, but the amenities and the care and the longevities. Those are the key that Mom wanted. They were looking for bricks and mortar. So, yes, it always plays out. But again, we have to sit down and discuss it collaboratively.
So here's a question. Like, again, if you were taking somebody pretty much off the street, which I guess, something maybe has shifted and now they realize, okay, we're going to need to think about a different way to keep Mom safe or Dad safe or aunt or uncle, whoever the relative it is. And they're willing to take a look. But oftentimes, I guess we walk in with so many misperceptions of maybe that aren't just even true. How do you sit down and walk a family through, like, this is what you need to consider? This is how you can help Mom find that right place where she's going to feel safe and comfortable and get the support she needs.
So that's what we call discovery.
Uh-huh.
Before we even consider doing the tour, that's the first thing we do. We sit probably for about 30, 45 minutes. We gotta ask questions, and those questions I can really pick from the questions that's being answered, and I know exactly how to tailor the tour. So discovery, and then the tour, and then we go back to the discovery room and sit, and it's like, okay, these are the things that you feel that is required. These are the things that you said Mom feels, and so as a group, we're gonna tailor it, and we're gonna make it work.
So here's a question, because I know you guys run quite a gamut. You're able to do a full memory care, and then you also do assisted living, and it's, at least it feels to me, even what I would call a higher level of assisted living. Because I guess that's a thing that most of us also don't know. We probably, once we get into the idea of thinking assisted living, we maybe think they're all the same, but there's differences, right, in terms of what each facility or residence can offer to somebody.
Yeah,
right?
we call it a level of care. So
Okay.
it's 3 level of cares: level 1, level 2, and it could go even more. But level 1, level 2, and level 3. So with a level 1, you basically pretty much independent, very little assistant. And I have residents that still drives.
Wow.
They go shop themselves because that's what they prefer to do. We have the transportation
Sure.
that we provide, but we have residents, like I said, that drives. Then again, we have the assistant, which is a level 2, pretty much a little more. We like telephone, you're losing the vision, and you need help with dialing the numbers and so on and so forth. We have someone to come to help you with that. Pretty much very minor and minimum assistant. And then level 3, pretty much when you're talking about, helping shower and so on and so forth. And then we have the memory care garden, which sits alone, which is pretty much, I hate to say a lockdown, but it's not locked down. It's a secure unit. So the secure unit is always manned. Well, the whole entire campus is manned 24 hours a day, and we do have a nurse on staff for 24 hours as well.
Wow.
Yes. So it's a unique community. It's a unique setting that we have, and that's how we are able to, maintain and retain the staff and the residents that we have that comes through the door.
Yeah, we're talking with Joseph Brown. He's the executive director with Hibiscus Court Assisted Living and Memory Care. And I guess that was a question that I wanted to ask you about as well. Like if somebody is maybe, and hopefully, thinking about this before there's kind of like a deadline, like you were mentioning, somebody came in and mom's in a rehab facility, but maybe it's not safe to move home, and all of a sudden families are having to make very complex decisions without the benefit of really having a whole lot of time to do that. And I'm pretty sure that you would argue it's much better for a family to start looking at things well in advance. If they took your advice, how would you say this is what you should start looking for? These are questions you might want to ask. How would you advise somebody to go at it?
Well, again, it's a discovery. It doesn't cost anything at all to call, or just come in the community and reset and talk about the needs. It's like you said, Gary. It's never too early, and it's sooner than later, because a lot of times that I get to the point that you need total assistance, because mom was doing so well yesterday and all of a sudden she took a fall.
Yeah.
And that could decline her mobility and health instantly. And now you have to scramble to try to figure out what we're going to do now. We also have what we call respite. So if you want to see or want to feel the care that's being delivered in the community, we have you can come in, bring mom in, whomever your loved one in, and just like a hotel, you put them up for 10 days, 30 days, or whatever the case may be, and we will care for her just like she was one of our permanent residents. So that's an option as well when you have residents or you have loved ones wants to, we call it test drive us. So it could happen.
Well, and that is such an important thing that I don't know that people know about either, because we spend a lot of time talking about caregivers, and I always liken it to that thing that the pilot tells you before they take off. There's if there was an emergency, an oxygen mask is going to drop down, but make sure you put it on you first before you help the one next to you or whatever, because it's kind of the same thing that seems to happen in caregivers. If you're not careful, you will burn yourself out. And so the very fact that either temporarily you could get a break, maybe finally have a vacation and have somebody qualified and who cares look after mom or dad, and then maybe even through that kind of thing you decide, hey, this actually could work and this might be the right solution and give me some sanity back too.
Happens all the time. We have actually a respite stay, pretty much a couple on a monthly basis. So it does happen, and when they once I just had a young lady that went on vacation, went out of the country, brought her husband with us, and she was gone for 3 weeks, and she says, I didn't worry at all while I was on vacation because I know my husband was very well taken care of.
Right.
And when she came back, I mean, he didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
He didn't want to leave. So it's amazing to see what we do to our seniors that not really in need, but need some loving and compassion and just to love on them.
Yeah, I've heard the expression used a lot. You're all about helping somebody not just survive but thrive. Because again, we go back to the like the lady we were talking about at the beginning of the show, who maybe sits at home all day in the home that she's lived in for 30 years, and she quote, the kids are sure she's comfortable there, but all she does is watch TV and maybe make an occasional trip out to the kitchen to get a bowl of cereal, and that's surviving. But there's a whole nother level that's out there, right?
Yes. Thriving is the key. We celebrate we have a resident. She just turned 99 yesterday.
Wow.
And when I tell you, she's a snapper. Her daughter calls from California just to see how she was doing yesterday. And we had her on Zoom, and she was like, she said spiffy, and
wow.
And she's moving around, better than some of our 50, 60-year-old walking around in the community.
That's really a part of it too. When you think about it, is that I was having a conversation with somebody. We were at, this is a funny story. We were actually at a Pablo Cruz concert on Friday night. And after the show, the band came out and met with some of the audience. And so we go up there, we meet the band, and in there is a husband and wife, and they brought Mom, and it's Mom's birthday. Mom is 90 years old, wow. And she's at a Pablo Cruz concert. And what we were talking about as we left the concert said, like, what's amazing about that is people used to think 70 was old or 80 was old.
Yeah.
And now it's pretty routine because, you really have this life expectancy. And if you're doing the right things, you could really be 90. You could be 100. You could be over 100,
Yeah. So, the 70 is 50 now.
Right,
right. And the 80 is, 60. So, like you say, if you do the right thing and you stay focused, take care of yourself, and listen to Mom, listen to Mom, and that 100. And I have an auntie up in Pennsylvania right now. She's 98 years old.
Wow,
and she's so active. I'm afraid.
Yeah.
She's active, and she tells me she's got to continue to be active.
Good.
Until she can't do it anymore.
Well, we talk about that a lot. I know we were talking before the show that Joe Wise Brown, who is the executive director of Hibiscus, you served in the Navy. Thank you again for your service.
Yeah.
And so did our president and founder, Joe Steckler. I was saying in his early days, he was running submarines around the world. And then his last command in the Navy was the Navy's retirement home in Gulfport, Mississippi. And I think it kind of gave him a lifelong passion for making sure we're doing the right things for seniors. But Joe himself is 89 going on 90 and showing no signs of slowing down. Every day he is at work in our nonprofit trying to make a difference and make something good happen for seniors. And that's what I love to see is people who they just have that joy of life. But that's something you guys really encourage at Hibiscus.
Oh yeah. Yes. And you know what? The Navy encouraging Joe too. So
yeah.
Joe, I got the feeling that if you're listening. So, but yeah, in a Hibiscus, we actually strive to make sure that everyone that we bring on board, as far as employees, we instill them with the compassion, the love, and I do a daily positive word of the day.
Good.
And matter of fact, today my positive word for the team was hospitality.
Oh yeah.
So they cannot forget of what their duties today was to continue to be on hospitality. But each day I do a positive word of the day. Yesterday was stay focused.
Yeah.
And but all in all, we have to remind ourselves why we are doing what we're doing, and it's not a job. It's a calling.
Right.
You have to have the right people in the right place, because if not, we're going to fail.
Yeah, we're talking with Joe Wise Brown with Hibiscus Court. We're going to take a mid-show break, and we're going to continue this conversation next on Helping Seniors Radio. Stay tuned.
And at 12:34 in the afternoon, that music of your life means it's time to get back to our show, Helping Seniors of Brevard. Right now, here's the host of the show and the executive director of Helping Seniors of Brevard, Kerry Fink.
Thank you, John Harper. Good to be back for the second half of Helping Seniors Radio. Every Wednesday we gather lunchtime, 12 noon to 1 p.m. on 90.3 FM WEJF Radio. And again, if you're listening online, welcome back, WEJF.net. And if you're continuing on with the podcast, we're glad you are here. Our special guest in the studio today is Joseph Wise Brown. He is the executive director of Hibiscus Court, assisted living and memory care, right there on Hibiscus, in Melbourne. Yeah, and we've been having a great conversation about things to consider because so many people carry so many misconceptions. And we were just talking during the break. You said, you're celebrating like birthdays all the time there with residents who are just thriving. You said somebody just turned 99, and I think you said somebody else just turned
100.
Wow.
100.
So the beautiful thing is, first of all, you're right there next to all the medical campus. So I would think that you have excellent access to anything that you need doctor wise or things like that. But it's also just as when you get the right nutrition, you get the right socialization, you just thrive over time.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And you're right. We are right across the street from Health First, and we have a really great relationship with them. So they, as far as to keep us engaged in all of the medical aspect of, keeping our seniors and our residents striving.
Right.
They provide us with all the tools and also educate us as well. So, but more importantly, the residents that we have at Hibiscus is they come to strive. They come to get engage in the activities, and we have a chef that's pretty much the talk of the tongue because he provides that 3 meals a day. That is not. It's not just 3 meals. It's premier meals.
Wow.
So we appreciate everything that the staff at Hibiscus do on a daily basis.
When you think about it, we were talking about it. It's actually kind of flipping the script because, when people come in and they sort of have maybe a poor expectation of what to look for when they consider what assisted living is. And like you said at the opening of the show, it's almost like you win the lottery because everything that you would do with your lottery winnings, you're going to hire, like you said, you're going to hire a chauffeur, you're going to hire a gardener, you're going to hire somebody to maybe help you keep, do your laundry or things like that, or maybe you're going to hire a chef so that you can have what you want to have to, all these things are there and available when you get the benefit of assisted living, let alone just that now you're part of a community and people love to do stuff together.
Yeah. And we take it to another level also, once you get to a certain point, you don't want to drive anymore. The chauffeur is there.
Right.
So we do want to, with the activity director, Candace. Candace is engaged with the residents, Candace and Fernando, both. They love to take them on scenic routes. Just had a resident a few days ago said, "Oh, I want to go on the beach. I want to see the mansions or whatever the case may be." So she probably was just talking.
Yeah.
They made it happen.
Wow.
A couple of days later, they got them on the bus and they did a scenic route. They went on the beach. Oh. I don't even know where the beach is, but they got on the beach on the bus and went on the beach and saw the historical areas and so on and so forth. So yeah, we keep them engaged. We do a monthly calendar. A couple of weeks ago, they went to the theater across the street. So, and they didn't have to jump in their car. They jumped pretty much on the bus or in the limo, and were able to enjoy themselves.
It was so funny because yesterday we were there. I'm talking about there's a group called Golden Providers. It's a small nonprofit that's dedicated to pulling together businesses in the community who serve seniors, and it's a once-a-month lunch gathering. It's kind of a business-to-business networking kind of opportunity. There was an attorney, Greg Schwendeman, who's an elder law attorney. He came from Rhodes Law Office and spoke to the group yesterday about the importance of all the legal paperwork and why it's important that you don't try to get the TV commercial that tells you, oh, you can just download the forms and do it yourself. And he really told some cases that made us all think a little bit about that. But my point was, we had the opportunity to, you guys hosted that meeting in one of your nice activities rooms. It was a terrific lunch. And I was talking with Candace, who's your activity director, and it was such a pleasant environment. She had a fall festival themed, and I said, what is your background? And she said, just like you. She said, I come out of hospitality. I said, so this is what you're always trying to impart for the residents? She said, absolutely.
And it's pretty much half of the team has been in hospitality, and when I say half of the team, the leader So the department heads. So you have Gifford, who is the chef.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in hospitality, hotels, fast food, wherever. But we elevate everything we do in our community.
Yeah.
Whether it's the food, activities. Just opening the door. We just start opening the door. You have to open the door with a smile. So, like I say, hospitality is throughout the community, and more importantly, everyone is a servant. So we play that, and we walk with that on a daily basis. That's why we're there. So we have to perform in that fashion. You wake up this morning. We didn't ask the good man for anything. We said, what directions are you leading us today?
Yeah.
What do you want us to do today?
That's
and
good.
And you know that we're there to provide to care for our loved ones and our residents and to communicate with family members.
It's got to be reassuring. I was thinking about this. We've all endured some stuff over the years here, everybody living through COVID and things like that. But I guess it must be a real sense of relief to family members when they get mom or dad or aunt or uncle, whoever the person is, they get them situated in that situation, because it's got to resolve a lot of, I don't want to say, maybe not the right word is guilt, but there's this sense of responsibility that you have for your loved one, and you just want to make sure that you're doing the best you can for whatever circumstances they're moving through. And I guess it must be really reassuring for family members when they're probably maybe a little bit trepidatious maybe at when this starts, but then they come back a month later and it's going so well, and they're like, why didn't we do this sooner or something?
So you just hit the nail on the head, because it happens all the time,
Yeah.
all the time. They hesitate, but moving mom in.
Yeah.
I can't let go.
Right.
I had a young man. He couldn't let go. I mean, he's the only child. Mom was home with him, and we talked for probably we was communicating about mom for about 3 months.
Yeah.
And he said, I just can't do it. I just can't do it, Mr. Brown. And finally, he made it. He was engaged, getting ready to get married. Him and his fiancée, they went out of town. And he brought her in as a respite.
Wow.
And so he brought her in for the weekend, came back, and he says, I'm ready to make the move.
Good.
He made the move.
Wow.
Made the move. And, those are just a few of the examples, but we just ask for you, instead of burning yourself out, trying to take care of your loved ones. We are here for it. Just like I say, the respite part, weekend, 5, 6, 7, 10 days. We do it up to 30 days, and then you make your decision. But it's better sooner than later, because we don't want to wait for that fall, and then she has to go through that rehab situation. Then it's 3 different environments mom's going to be going, your loved one's going to be going through those different environments, and it's going to really, really take a toll on her, on whomever, your loved ones. But it plays a major role in when we make the decision earlier than later.
There's another thing I was going to ask you about, because I was thinking, like, as you make a decision about this, do you think people are hesitant to come in early because they feel like somebody's going to twist their arm and like it's going to be high pressure and you need to make a decision for mom right now, and people are shoving contracts in people's faces? But that's not what this is about at all, is it?
Not at all. Not at all. And prior to me coming to the station today, I was listening to a conversation, and it was someone needed to be in the community, right away. And I heard the family member who was saying, well, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
Well, you're not ready, but your loved one is ready.
Yeah.
And so we really truly, we need to listen to to mom, dad, or whoever that loved one is, and it's the best interest for them, not for us. Like I told you earlier, my auntie is 98 years old, and but she's striving, she's moving, she's that 98-year-old, she's moving like an 85-year-old right now. So God bless her, and we just gotta try to educate each and every one that looking for a place for mom or their loved one.
Yeah, so if somebody is interested, and I know I hear you talk about this a lot, but you really encourage people to look, kind of like well in advance, so you get an idea of what it really is, dispel misconceptions, find out how really pleasant things are. I mean, when you walk in there, and like I said, we were in there yesterday for Golden Providers. It's light, it's airy, it's fun. It just has especially the way they set up for the activity, for our case, which we were just borrowing it for our lunchroom meeting. But it was just such a pleasant environment to be around and to kind of maybe break some of those stereotypes. How do people, what should they do? They give a call and say, hey, we just want to come in and see what it's all about?
So they could just pick up the phone. They could, they can even walk in. The door is never locked. So we are there 24 hours. It's open 24 hours a day, but staff-wise, we are there from 7:30 in the morning up until about I'm there until 7 at night sometimes.
Wow!
So,
wow!
But all in all, you could just pick up the phone and call the communities and just ask for the sales and marketing director.
Yeah.
Or myself. I take calls. I could help with the discovery, and we go from there.
So, it really is. It's worth educating yourself. A lot of times people don't really understand options that are available, and they're I had somebody say in a meeting yesterday, it's a saying that our operations director, Nancy Deerdorf, says a lot, particularly as she's talking to callers who are calling in and they're asking for help about. So she goes, well, how do you know what you don't know? So if you invest a little time, well, you're not under the pressure and there's no heavy hand, this has to be decided by this date, but you just start exploring your options. It's amazing how much is really out there that can be so beneficial.
And it's not necessary that you have to be ready to transition mom or your loved one, but if you have questions, feel free, pick up the phone and call in to us at Hibiscus, and like I said, sales and marketing or myself. If you have particular questions that you feel that us in the profession can answer. Versus anyone else, we'd be more than happy to do it. I'm sure that I have some answers that a lot of other people doesn't have doing this for about 18 plus years. So give me a call.
I love what you were saying, because at the start of the show, you remember I said we jokingly sometimes refer to this idea of an aging plan, as we call it, get your ducks in a row. But I'll tell you something else that we've learned along the way as we talk to different professionals who really are dedicated to making seniors' lives the absolute best they can be, is we have this corollary, which is, we call it, don't try this on your own. So like talking with an elder law attorney, they say, listen, most families, if they come to us with a particular situation, this is something they're dealing with once or twice in their lifetime. We're dealing with 20 or 30 a week. So we have a lot of knowledge and background on this is how you approach situations. I was just thinking when you were saying that, but this is the same thing when, you might be trying to take care of mom and doing the best you can. And you're a loving child and you want the best for mom, but you guys really have perfected this. You know what it takes to help a senior thrive. And why are we not taking advantage of people who really can help lead us in this?
And I think it's more that they don't want to let go. Yeah. They don't want to let go. They're pretty much not afraid, but hesitant about putting their loved one in someone else's care.
Right.
And but until you actually feel what we deliver and hear what we have to deliver as well, then yes, you have you should be hesitant. And that's why picking up the phone or coming into the community, and we can sit down and have a collaborative conversation, and not a conversation but a discovery, and we that's how we learn, and that's how we grow. And the more information you got for your loved one and for you, a family member, to be comfortable transitioning them, that's the key.
Yeah. So we're talking with Joseph Wise Brown, who is executive director with Hibiscus Court Assisted Living. I'm looking actually in senior scene. So tell me if this is the right number: 321-345-9830. That sounds like the number to reach Hibiscus Court, and I assume that you can get information there. It also lists a website here, hibiscuscourtmelbourne.net, which is a good area. But you guys are conveniently located, literally right next to the hospital,
right across from the hospital. Yeah. And I'm going to give you another number as well.
Okay.
The number is 321-951. 1050.
Okay, so there you have it. So we're talking about Hibiscus Court Assisted Living and Memory Care. It's really very conveniently located and worth a great place to begin exploration of all things assisted living. So with that, I'm gonna shift to gear. We're coming up on a couple of things that I want to get you to grab a pencil and a paper and maybe jot down. So give you a second to do that. But one of the things that we do as a charity is we're working together with the city of Palm Bay. We have some federal funds called CDBG funds that they wanted us to put together a program that would help renters of Palm Bay. Now we're talking about 55 plus renters of Palm Bay that may be finding themselves a bit housing challenged in terms of what's happening with rents and things like that. I'm talking about just really across the land. So on Saturday morning, we have a renters workshop that is at Meemaw's Barbecue. You have to give a call on RSVP because space is limited on this, but you could call Nancy Deerdorf at 321-473-7770. This runs from 9 until noon on Saturday morning, and attorney Frank Scaglione with the Florida Bar Association Florida Eviction Prevention Project is going to be our keynote speaker, as is we also have a HUD certified counselor, Vinnie Richardson, with Christian Housing Ministry, is going to be joining us as well. And she's a HUD certified counselor, one of 3,500 in the country. So if you're a senior and you're renting in Palm Bay, this is a session you do not want to miss. It's complimentary, but you do have to be a senior renting here in Palm Bay. The other thing I want to talk about, and this is going to be fun because I get to ask you this question, Joseph, is our big fundraiser is the Helping Seniors car raffle. That all goes down Saturday, October 7th at the American Muscle Car Museum, which is that beautiful complex right there on Sarna Road that billionaire Mark Pylock has, and he's been so kind to open it up. The only way you can go in there is basically his private garage. The only time you can go in there is when he opens it up for a charitable event. He's got 435 muscle cars in there, and every year that he's been open, he's allowed us to come and do our Helping Seniors car raffle fundraiser. So we do the grand drawing right there on stage. Now, this is our 7th annual fundraiser. It's real simple to get involved. One ticket is $25. 5 is a $100 donation. Each one supports the work of Helping Seniors. It is also your chance to win a car. I'm going to get to that in a second. And it's also your admit one to this great night at the museum, which is so much fun. Last year, there was 3,000 folks out there, although Ashley Caswell, who's one of our volunteer board members, she goes, Kerry, every time you say that, you make it sound like it's crowded. But you got to understand, this building is the size of like 2 aircraft hangars. And so even when it's filled, it doesn't feel filled. And then Mark springs for everything. He springs for your beer, your wine, your soda, your pizza, your snacks. He makes us look really good. He and his team of volunteers do a tremendous job, and it really supports the work of helping seniors. So you get your ticket. How do you get a ticket? Well, you guys have them at Hibiscus Court. You have them right there.
Yes.
And you can also call us at 321-473-7770. Nancy will be happy to get you set up by tickets by phone. You can go to HelpingSeniorsCarRaffle.com, or you can go by any Boniface Hires car dealership and check out the car you want to win, because that's the shtick in this. You decide which car you want to win. So there's one car from each of AJ Hire's great dealerships. So Joe, because I'm going to ask you if you have a car in this race. So your choices are a Dodge Challenger, a brand new Chevrolet Camaro. That's what our winner took, by the way, last year.
Okay.
A Mazda Miata convertible. The year before, the winner took, it's kind of stylish and practical, a Kia Sportage. And this year, because AJ has added a Mitsubishi dealership right there on US 1, you can also choose a Mitsubishi Outlander, which is a cool little SUV. But it's your pick when we pull your winning ticket. So, Joseph, if we pulled your winning ticket, what car sounds good to you?
I think I'll stick with the Camaro.
Yeah. So you were just like, we're laughing because our little volunteer board of directors years ago, it's been Dodge versus Chevy for a bunch of years. So a couple of them, they took over on the side of we call them Team Dodge. And then a couple of them, Ashley Caswell and Ricky Montgomery, decided, no, the Camaro is the only car that matters. And so they've had this rivalry where Mark Pylock lets him come out to his test track and run out these cars, and it's really hilarious. The 2024 edition or 2023 edition of this is about to be released this weekend, and let's just say that Sheriff Wayne Ivey had to get involved. It got that wild as these ladies are tooling around the track. So we'll have to see what that's all about. But you got to get your ticket. It's all to it literally is about half of our budget. As a Florida nonprofit, we can't do what we do if you don't get behind us and support the work. So get your Helping Seniors car raffle tickets. It's a great opportunity to go by and see Hibiscus Court while you're there. Learn about some of the things that we were talking about on the radio today. And then as you're heading out the door, say, oh, by the way, let me get my raffle tickets.
Get two. You might get the Camaro and the Kia.
I suppose anything could happen. It's funny.
Yes.
We were talking with the lady who won the Camaro. She came out to one of our events. She brought her car out, and she goes, I've already bought my $100. I said, wouldn't that be amazing if lightning struck twice?
Wow.
What would you take this year? She goes, probably another Camaro. So,
wow.
There you have it.
Yeah.
So thank you, Joseph Weiss-Brown with Hibiscus Court, for being our guest today. And thank you, listener, for joining us on the Helping Seniors radio program. It's always a pleasure to gather around the radio Wednesdays lunchtime. And we will be back next Wednesday. Same bat channel, same bat time and all that. So we'll see you at 12 noon next Wednesday right here on 90.3 WEJF for Helping Seniors Radio. Have a great week till then.